How are we doing on a Friday? What's up? What are you guys up to? You're hanging out here. Thanks for being here. Hey, we don't normally do a live stream on Friday, but you know, it's F it Friday, right? So here we are. We had a judge's order come down. I think the issuance was on Wednesday and it basically hit the media yesterday. We got to talk about it. We got a lot to unpack here because everything Tiffany Henyard and her attorney, Bo Brindley, have been saying, a judge has, let's just say the judge has disagreed, right? All right, let's go ahead and let's get us going right here. This is the best indicator. Judge orders forbids Dolton, Illinois mayor from making appointments without village board okay. That was the injunction. Think injunction, big picture. Hey, stop the shenanigans. Judge on Wednesday granted an order forbidding Dolton Mayor Tiffany Henyard from making appointments without the consent of village trustees. That was the injunction, and then the temporary restraining order. Attorney Bert Oldelson, legislative counsel to the Dolton Village Board, Cook County Judge Thaddeus Wilson, granted the injunction and restraining order after a 4-hour hearing Wednesday afternoon. Man, and it didn't take the judge much to get this his findings in writing issued, because I think he realized, we've got a rogue mayor and we've got a village that doesn't have the ability to carry on normal affairs. They basically can't do what they were voted into office to do with what you've got the super mayor with the shenanigans she's pulling. So you've got a injunction and then you got the restraining order. The injunction prohibits Henyard from making appointments without board approval. That's the big picture. Hey, stop with the shenanigans. This is big. And then the other smaller things, the temporary things, so without board approval, while the restraining order, that's more the temporary. Restraining order, a temporary restraining order, a TRO, prohibits any of her appointees from taking office. We're going to get into it. We're going to look at it. We're actually going to look at what the judge wrote. It's pretty interesting. In a meeting earlier this month at which Henyard was not present, the board made it clear they never approved the firing of the current village manager, Keith Freeman. Henyard had appointed a new village manager to replace Freeman at a prior board meeting, which went on despite not having enough trustees to do so. So the mayor just pulling things willy-nilly out of her backside and throwing them out there. That's what we're doing. And so the village, with their attorney, Burton Oldelson, they went to court and said, hey, Your Honor, we need some help here. We've got a rogue mayor. And so they had 4 hours of hearing. I mean, you got a bunch of stuff going on there. And then Tiff, the super mayor, Tiffany Henyard, her attorney says, well, we never got a chance to, throw out what we needed to. In 4 hours, you couldn't work that out. Well, maybe the judge, just maybe, the judge wasn't hearing it from your end because you guys are full of it. I mean, that's the way I think most folks are seeing this, and only the folks that are diehard supporters of Tiffany Henyard are gonna, pull the, well, you've got a rogue board going on, and that's impeaching or impeding the super mayor's ability to run her office as she sees fit. Well, a judge has said, no, not so much. What we're going to do right now is we're going to go retro a little bit. And this is kind of where we left before we had this court hearing. This is where we left with Tiffany Henyard and her attorney. And I want you to pay attention to kind of how much nonsense we have going on here. All right. And then keep in mind what the judge has just recently issued on. And we'll look at that in addition to. So let's go here. And here.
And that stops now. After Mayor Henyard was elected, it was the Board of Trustees that brought to Mayor Henyard a municipal expert, so they said. A so-called municipal expert. A man who was supposed to be knowledgeable at all levels regarding village financial resource management. among other things. This man was Keith Freeman. Keith Freeman was appointed by Mayor Henyard because the Board of Trustees said he was an expert. And she listened to Keith Freeman. She relied on Keith Freeman to manage the village finances. When he told her, this is how things are done, this is what mayors do, this is how we do things, she believed him. She trusted him. And when she realized that his actions were not in the interests of the people, that they were not on the lever, what did she do? She fired him. She terminated him. I sat here. Well, she fired him in public after having already fired him in writing. But since then, at every turn, she has had a problem. Mayor Henyard has the right to appoint, and she has the right to terminate. That's the law. She has had a problem. Mayor Henyard has the right to appoint, and she has the right to terminate.
Judge disagrees. Judge disagrees. Now, this attorney is just throwing stuff out there, and either he doesn't know municipal law, or he's just like Tiffany Henyard, and he is just pulling stuff out of you-know-where, and just like, here we go. Because the judge unequivocally says, no.
The law. That's the mayor's right. That's her power. Okay?
No.
That's her power.
No.
But at every time we turn around, the Board of Trustees has stepped in, and they are insisting that this man, who has mismanaged village resources beyond belief, they insist that he's still employed. They are empowered to keep sending out these emails and pretending to be the village administrator. They insist on keeping a person that everybody agrees squandered and mismanaged the resources of this village. They want this corrupt individual to remain. Well, she has terminated him again and again and again.
This is just a clown show. That's what this is. This is literally a clown show. I mean, you can't even spin this stuff. There's no way you can spin this stuff. You just don't have the ability to. Keith Freeman is, he's probably working with the FBI right now. He's the one that knows. He's the village administrator. He's the one that was in play. He's fired. He's not fired. And part of the temporary restraining order is that Keith Freeman is immediately reinstated, even though he was never really officially fired because the firing was illegal.
They had interfered with the mayor's power. They interfered with the mayor's executive power that only she maintained. And they don't get to do that. When they do that, when they get in the way and prevent her from terminating somebody that everybody agrees is a menace to this community, when they get in the way of that, they violate the law. And that stops now.
Well, no, it doesn't. And to answer your question, I have not seen the document, the court document on the injunction. I just focused on the temporary restraining order. And so I have not seen about how the fire department saying their union contract wouldn't be recognized. Haven't seen that. But that, so much of this stuff is in play, right? We just don't know. You don't know what's up until you've got a court ruling. So now we're filtering through. And I think what they initially focused on was, okay, let's try and get our bits and pieces together. We need a village administrator, number one, because we didn't know who that was, right? Who is it? Is it this new guy? Do we have a new police chief? Do we have a new attorney? Well, the judge makes it super clear. All right, so we're going to take a peek here. This is a legal document. You don't care much about this. The first paragraph there kind of established case history. Plaintiffs have established ascertainable right to to basically call BS on the mayor's nonsense. Plaintiffs and residents of Dolton have established that they will suffer irreparable harm without the issuance of a temporary restraining order. That's not that easy to get in a case like this, right? Plaintiffs have shown likelihood of success on the merits and a lack of adequate remedy at law. Furthermore, if the court were to balance the equities in this matter, they weigh heavily in favor of plaintiffs and the residents of the village of Dolton. Boom. Mayor, not so much. Heavily in favor of the Board of Trustees. With respect to the removal and replacement of the village administrator, Keith Freeman, there is no question that the mayor failed to follow the process and procedure required under the ordinance and applicable state law for the removal of the village administrator. Supermayor went rogue, just did her thing. Shenanigan number 972 this month, right? Not only did she not follow the appropriate removal process, she did not and could not follow the appropriate process for naming an interim or permanent replacement. Accordingly, by operation of law, the village administrator was reinstated to his position, Keith Freeman. Among other things, prior to removal or appointments from office, the mayor must, as a prerequisite, numero uno, have it be at a regular meeting. She did it at a canceled meeting, and she just went ahead and, yep, we're going to fire him. We're going to bring these people in. Let's go. And her attorney, who is a criminal defense attorney, the guy we just heard talking, Bo Brindley, he claims that he is not her criminal defense attorney because she hasn't been charged with anything, which is true. But he's a criminal defense attorney. So why'd you hire a criminal defense attorney if you don't have charges, on you? It's because you don't have charges yet. All right. So number one, at a regular meeting, got to be at a regular meeting if you want to fire somebody. And number two, you got to communicate to the Board of Trustees the name of the appointee. You can't just throw this out there and, it's good. All right. The two threshold requirements did not occur in this case, and therefore the mayor's removal of the village administrator, Keith Freeman, cannot stand as it did not follow the proper procedure. Concerning the city attorney, so that's Keith Freeman. That is village administrator, right? Concerning the city attorney and the chief of police, the mayor failed to properly follow the procedure for filling vacancies. That's pretty basic. That's pretty straightforward. There is zero question as to what the supermayor did, right? Although the appointments were in relation to vacant position, the mayor was required by law to follow the appointment process. The mayor has great authority, but said authority must be wielded openly and at the appropriate public meeting following the appropriate procedure. Remember number one and number two? It's got to be at a meeting and you got to do it in front of everybody. Again, among other things, prior to removal, regular meeting, communicate Board of Trustees. Again, this did not happen for the appointments of the chief of police or the city attorney. Okay. So here's the order. That was all just establishing what the dealio is for this TRO, for this temporary restraining order. Plaintiff's emergency motion temporary restraining order is granted. Boom. You got it. You got it because they need it. Keith Freeman is immediately reinstated to his position as village administrator and shall remain until such time as the proper procedure is followed for his removal or until he otherwise vacates the position. Just he's got the job. All right. He's in there. There's no question. He's in there. He's never been fired. You tried to fire him illegally. Keith Freeman was a big ally to Tiffany Henyard until he wasn't. Right? And so many folks are like, okay, but he knows the inner workings of the village and he seems to be cooperating now. So at one point in time, he was, on first name basis, not first name basis, but He was in Tiffany Henyard's, he was in her slew of allies, and now he's not. And that's why she's tried to fire him, because he's working against her. So the mayor is temporarily restrained and enjoined from executing or effectuating any removal of the village administrator, Keith Freeman, until such time as proper legal procedures for same are followed. This has to do with the injunction. The mayor is temporarily restrained and enjoined from executing or continuing the appointments of Michael Smith as village administrator, Angela Lockett as the village attorney, and Ronnie Bird Sr. as police chief until such time as proper legal procedures for same are followed. So all that stuff that Tiffany Henyard's attorney, Bo Brindley, was saying is just nonsense. The judge said, no. That's not what we're doing here. The mayor is temporarily enjoined and restrained from making any further appointments without going through the board. And then we go into defendant Michael A. Smith. Okay, we identify him, Angela Lockett. So now he's breaking it out, not only from a one sentence where he's got them all in there, he's breaking it out individually, just so there is no question about what is being conveyed here. Hey, dummies, this guy, this woman, this guy, yeah, they're not. And the mayor can be held in contempt of court if these folks show up and say, hey, I'm here. I got hired. I'm here at my job. And there was some of that going on. As the movement is a municipality, the concerns surrounding requiring a bond are not present, and for good cause shown, no bond is required. So they're basically saying, hey, this municipality, these are not individuals, so no bond required. Temporary restraining orders entered September 25th at 5:06 shall remain in full force. The matter is continued to October 3rd, 2024 at 11 a.m. for status. So I think I know that Bo Brindley, he's going to, and we'll read about that in a second, Bo Brindley is going to appeal because he says that he's basically saying this is all shenanigan. Yeah, they are bringing false evidence. He stated that most of the stuff that they brought up here was incorrect. And yet it's a judge's job to sift through the nonsense, right? What's the deal here? What is going on? Well, I think it can't be any clearer that the judge is just telling, Tiffany Henyard, you've gone rogue. You've gone rogue. Here is, this is Ben Bradley from WGN 9, local in Chicago. Judge blocks Tiffany Henyard appointments. What I want to focus on here is Henyard's attorney issued a statement to WGN on Thursday saying, and Bo Brindley, he gets back to everybody because this is his opportunity to get information out to individual news outlets on, hey, this is how the super mayor is being abused in her position as mayor. He said the Board of Trustees made manifestly false statements in their petition for the temporary restraining order. From what we just read on that temporary restraining order from the judge, does it sound like there is any question whatsoever about his findings? No. When he talk about the equity, equitable, who had more right, who had, more shenanigans in their side, it was very, very clear that the judge said, hey, ruling in for the plaintiffs, for the village. The court did not hear evidence beyond their blatantly false allegations. This is kind of what I was talking about earlier. So Bo Brindley, the court did not hear evidence beyond their blatantly false allegations. If they were blatantly false allegations, number one, as her attorney, you should have been able to prove that. And number two, if they were blatantly false allegations, the judge would have understood that, because that's the judge's job. So either you, Mr. Attorney, did a terribly piss poor job of conveying information to the judge, or you're basically saying the judge just doesn't know what he's doing. Now, given the fact that you said a bunch of stuff, that the judge is disagreeing with, I got to go with the judge in this case because it seems overwhelming that it's pretty clear that based on basic procedure, Tiffany Henyard violated that. And the judge just said outright, boom, no, go home. Go home. Take your misappropriations and just go home. Mayor Henyard will appeal and the truth will come out. This is standard Tiffany Henyard nonsense talk. And the truth will come out. A truth that reveals a corrupt board of trustees trying to hijack the mayor's office through false statements and outright criminal conduct. All right, the truth will come out. We keep hearing that from Tiffany Henyard's side. The truth will come out. And you know what? The truth doesn't ever seem to be coming out other than the village's truth seems to be the one that is the truth. Truth comes out, a truth that reveals a corrupt board of trustees. Based on what? You haven't shown us anything where the board is corrupt. I'm listening. I'll podcast that from here till tomorrow, right? Board of Trustees is corrupt as well? Okay, all right. Let's go there. Tell me about it. I'm listening. And they're trying to hijack the mayor's office through false statements. Well, what's being hijacked here is powers that Tiffany Henyard has no business just making these appointments and firing people willy-nilly. And the judge, that's the whole point of the temporary restraining order. Hey, yeah, Tiffany Henyard, yeah, no, you can't do that. That's illegal. And by the way, these appointments you made, yeah, I'm restraining them. And boom, here it is. Couldn't be more clear. Only took him 4 pages in his legal document to outline that. I mean, that's just how clear it was. So through false statements and outright criminal conduct, I am listening. I want to know these false statements. What are they? Outline them for me. I want to see them. Tell me what you got. I'm listening. You guys are listening too, right? Again, I'll podcast this all day long. And outright criminal conduct. Okay. What is it? I haven't seen any yet. I mean, if we have, then we should be back in court. Let's go there. Let's hear it. I mean, let's go. But no, that's because this is nonsense talk. Because you've got a criminal attorney who apparently, I'm no attorney, right? I am no attorney, but I can read and I can read a judge's order. And I'm like, oh, yeah, this isn't looking good for the super mayor. And the village is just trying to do day-to-day operations, right? And you've got a rogue mayor. I mean, it's just becoming more and more apparent that this is it's ridiculous. What you got going in Dolton is just ridiculous. Outright criminal conduct. Okay. All right. Tell us how. Okay. And if you haven't followed this one, Township meeting with controversial Dolton Mayor Tiffany Henyard spirals out of control. So we live streamed that. It was a tough feed, but we were following the feed of I can't remember who it was. News out of Chicago. You know who I'm talking about. But what you saw, that was the township meeting. That was on Tuesday. And at the end, you had a guy that basically said that the super mayor that needed to be disciplined like a dog, and all hell broke loose. Now, the police weren't called to the basement room, the big meeting room, but they were certainly upstairs because we saw on the end of that live stream that the police were there and they were, there was concern that people were going to get beat up. The dude that spoke at the meeting was going to get beat up. So you've got just some crazy stuff going on. And I wouldn't be surprised if in future meetings you don't have, more fireworks where literally the police just come in and boom, clean out the room. Because people are getting worked up. They're getting really, really worked up. So this is Illinois Leaks. Bo Bridley, Henyard's attorney, embarrassingly ignorant on open meeting, says everyone corrupt except the mayor. 100% true. This is where a criminal defense attorney, I think he is wildly out of his, of his realm of what is, what he covers. And he just doesn't understand municipal law, although it's not that hard, right? I mean, it's pretty basic. You got a 2-step process to fire somebody. If you didn't follow either of the 2 steps, go back home. Figure it out. Attorney Bo Brindley, so this is Illinois Leaks. Attorney Bo Brindley made several comments about how some things stop now. That's the video we watched. They stop now. As if he possesses any powers whatsoever to stop anything the board chooses to do or not do. And she doesn't. She doesn't. His powers lie with him. Illinois Leaks is talking about Bo Brindley's powers. Bo Brindley's powers lie within him being the personal attorney for the mayor, who may choose to file civil suits against the board. He cannot control any board decisions. He cannot stop anything now. That will be left to the courts to decide. 100% true. 100% true. And this isn't a hard call, because Bo Brindley is up there. He is just a mouthpiece so that Tiffany Henyard has an attorney talking to a constituency who will go, oh, well, since an attorney said it, it must be true. But what I want you to take away from this live stream is a judge said very different. A judge made recommendations very different. Not recommendations. Temporary restraining order. Boom, you're done. Keith Freeman back in, you other 3 people, yeah, you're out of here. You were never hired legally. Just, it's a no-go. It's a no-go. So, meanwhile, Mayor Henyard's personal attorney, Bo Brindley, is also responding, saying in part, Mayor Henyard will appeal and the truth will come out. A truth that reveals a corrupt board of trustees trying to hijack the mayor's office through false statements. And we already read that, but it's just, this is where we sit. It's he said versus she said. And when you have a municipal deal like this, where you're trying to run a village that has around 20,000 people, you need to jump in and be able to actually operate. And with what the mayor is doing, a judge is saying, no, I disagree with you. Here's what we're really doing. So moving forward, what's the village? One of the articles was, and I don't think I have it up anymore, but it was like, who's in control of the village? Because all of a sudden, the police chief that you put in place, he's gone. The village administrator that you allegedly put in place, he's gone. And the village attorney, which they haven't had one for a while, she's gone. So who's running the show if the super mayor is basically blocked from, doing that stuff moving forward with the injunction? Well, at the end of the day, the village, the board is. The board is. They're the ones that on a day-to-day basis, they're getting stuff done. And they are the ones that went before the judge and requested this temporary restraining order and an injunction, and they got it. And so now October 4th, we're going to have another hearing, and I'm dying to hear what Bo Brindley comes up with as far as all this other stuff, because he hasn't showed anything so far where, the village has done anything, patently wrong. I just haven't seen it. And I'm not saying it's not happening, but with everything I'm seeing, it's the super mayor just going down this rogue deal where she doesn't follow protocol. And a perfect example of this, I think there's about a 5-minute video I did on an interaction between Tiffany Henyard and her own, and I think it was the Township of Thornton's attorney. And the Township of Thornton's attorney, this was at the Tuesday night meeting where we almost had the brawl at the end. The attorney basically had this back and forth where he just outright disagreed with the mayor. And the mayor just said, well, I disagree with you. I heard the attorney said, I hear what you're saying, but you're incorrect. The mayor isn't following the own advice of their own hired Township of Thornton attorney, because she's gone rogue. She's simply gone rogue. And we've known this for a long, long time, but now we're finding out through the court system, this is a one-sided you-know-what show. And this has been happening for a long time. So moving forward, are we going to have a court order for every damn little thing that goes on? You might have to have that. We might be in court. And I say we, because we're following this case, might be in court just nonstop. I mean, if you've got things as simple as what you've got going on here, which is broad strokes, trying to hire critical folks that should be administering the day-to-day operations of the village. If you can't work that out, I mean, if you have to have a judge step in on that, how about the budget? How about any of these other major broad strokes? It's going to be really interesting. All right. I've beaten this one to death. Thank you so much for being here. I hope you guys have a great weekend. It's Friday. Have a great Friday. Have a great weekend. And I'll be live streaming again on Tuesday. Thanks so much for being here again. And I'll catch up with you soon. Bye for now.